The security guard's hand closed around Thomas Harrington's arm like a vice. I said, "Move." Thomas didn't resist. His weathered jacket hung loose on his thin frame, and his salt and pepper beard hadn't seen a razor in weeks. He clutched a paper cup with 17 cents inside. "Please," Thomas said quietly. "I'm just sitting." "You're loitering." The guard, name tag read Derek, tightened his grip. "This is a hospital, not a homeless shelter." The emergency room waiting area fell silent. 40 people watched. A mother pulled her daughter closer. A businessman looked away. A nurse at the desk kept typing, eyes fixed on her screen. Derek yanked Thomas toward the automatic doors. "Let's go, buddy, before I call the cops." Thomas's cup fell. Coins scattered across the polished tile like shrapnel. A little boy, maybe 6 years old, started to reach for one. His mother slapped his hand away. "Don't touch that," she hissed. The door slid open. Rain poured down outside, turning the parking lot into a sheet of black glass. Derek shoved Thomas into the downpour. "Stay out," he said, "or next time you're getting arrested." The doors closed. Thomas stood in the rain, water streaming down his face, mixing with something that might have been tears. Inside, Derek brushed his hands on his pants, like he'd touched something diseased. Someone in the waiting room clapped. If you're here for stories about hidden power and the moment everything changes, you're in the right place. Hit that like button and subscribe to Hidden Billionaire Stories, because what happens next will blow your mind. What Derek didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Thomas Harrington owned St. Catherine's Medical Center. All 7 buildings. The cancer wing, the cardiac unit, the pediatric center with the rainbow murals. He built it from nothing 23 years ago with money from the sale of his pharmaceutical company. $3.2 billion. He'd poured half of it into St. Catherine's and walked away from the spotlight. No press conferences, no plaques with his name, just a legally binding agreement that the hospital would serve everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. Thomas had spent the last 6 months living on the streets, not because he had to, because he needed to understand. His daughter, Rebecca, had died in this hospital 9 months ago. Complications from pneumonia. She'd come to the ER 3 times in 1 week, complaining of chest pain and fever. 3 times she'd been sent home. Probably just a cold, they'd said. By the time someone took her seriously, the infection had spread to her blood. She died on a Tuesday morning in room 447, holding Thomas's hand. She was 28 years old. Thomas had disappeared the day after her funeral. He'd walked out of his penthouse, left his credit cards on the kitchen counter, and vanished into the city with nothing but the clothes on his back. He wanted to see his hospital the way Rebecca had seen it, as someone powerless, someone poor, someone easy to ignore. Thomas found shelter under a highway overpass 6 blocks from St. Catherine's. Cardboard boxes, wet sleeping bags, the smell of urine and despair. A woman named Rita shared her space with him. 60s, missing teeth, kind eyes. "You're new," she said. "Yeah." "Stay away from Martin. He gets mean when he's drunk." She handed him half a granola bar. "Name's Rita." "Tom," he said softly. She nodded. "Welcome to paradise, Tom." He sat against the concrete barrier, rain dripping through the cracks above. In his pocket, his phone buzzed. 17 missed calls from his attorney, 12 from his chief of staff, 3 from the hospital's board of directors. He turned it off. The next morning, Thomas went back to St. Catherine. Not to the ER, to the main entrance. He walked slowly, his limp more pronounced now. 3 weeks of sleeping on concrete had aggravated his old knee injury. The lobby was pristine. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, a massive chandelier that cost $400,000. Thomas had picked it out himself. He sat on a bench near the information desk, just watching. A well-dressed couple walked past, arguing about parking validation. A doctor in scrubs rushed by, phone pressed to his ear. A janitor pushed a mop, invisible to everyone. Thomas pulled out his paper cup, put it on the floor in front of him, and waited. It took 11 minutes. A hospital administrator, crisp pantsuit, pearl earrings, stopped in front of him. "Sir, you can't do that here." Thomas looked up. "Do what?" "Panhandle? This is private property." "I'm not panhandling. I'm sitting." Her lips thinned. "The cup, sir?" "I'm just resting." She pulled out her phone. "Security is on the way." Thomas said nothing. 2 minutes later, Derek arrived. He recognized Thomas immediately. "You again?" Derek's face flushed red. "I told you to stay away. I needed to rest. Somewhere else." Derek grabbed his arm, harder this time. "Let's go." People stopped to watch. A woman with a walker, 2 teenage boys, a priest in a black collar. Nobody said anything. Derek dragged Thomas toward the doors, and Thomas let him, because he'd learned that resistance only made the humiliation worse. The automatic doors opened. Derek threw him out. Literally threw him. Thomas hit the concrete, palms scraping, pain shooting through his bad knee. "I see you here again," Derek shouted. "And I'm calling the cops, you got that?" Thomas pushed himself up slowly, blood on his hands, shame burning in his chest, not for himself, for what his hospital had become. That night under the overpass, Rita cleaned his hands with a wet rag. "You gotta stop going there, Tom," she said gently. "I can't." "Why not?" Thomas stared at the distant lights of St. Catherine's glowing against the night sky like a fortress. "Because someone I loved died there," he said, "and I need to know if it was my fault." Rita didn't ask questions. She just wrapped his hands in clean cloth and sat beside him in the darkness. The next day, Thomas did something different. He put on his cleanest shirt, still stained, still worn, but the best he had, and walked into St. Catherine's through the emergency entrance. Not as a panhandler, as a patient. His knee was swollen, purple, and angry from the fall. He approached the check-in desk. The clerk, a young woman with tired eyes, didn't look up. "Name?" "Thomas Harrington." She typed, frowned. "Insurance?" "No." "How will you be paying?" "I can't." Now she looked up, took in his appearance, the beard, the clothes, the smell. Her expression shifted from neutral to cold. "Sir, if you can't pay, we can only see you if it's life-threatening." "My knee." "Is that life-threatening?" Thomas's jaw tightened. "No." "Then I'm sorry. There's a free clinic on 7th Street. They might be able to help. I just need..." "Sir," her voice was louder now, "there are people with insurance waiting. If you can't pay, I can't help you." An older man in the waiting area muttered, "Probably faking it for drugs anyway." Thomas felt something crack inside his chest. Not anger, grief. This was what Rebecca had faced. This wall of indifference. This casual cruelty dressed up as policy. He turned and limped toward the exit. Derek was waiting outside, arms crossed. "Thought I told you?" I was trying to get medical help, Thomas said. Sure you were. Derek stepped closer. Listen, buddy. I don't know what your angle is, but you need to find a different hospital to haunt. I'm not haunting anyone. You're a disturbance. You make people uncomfortable. I make you uncomfortable. Derek's eyes narrowed. What did you say? Thomas met his gaze. You heard me. For a moment, he thought Derek might hit him. Instead, Derek pulled out his phone and took Thomas's picture. That's it? You're officially banned from this property. I see you here again. You're getting arrested for trespassing. He walked back inside. Thomas stood alone in the parking lot. The sun setting behind the hospital cast long shadows across the asphalt. He pulled out his phone, turned it on, and made a call. Mr. Harrington? His attorney's voice was sharp with relief. Thank God. Where have you... I need you to do something, Thomas interrupted. Anything? Pull the personnel files for St. Catherine's security staff and ER administration. I want employment records, incident reports, patient complaints, everything. A pause. May I ask why? Because I'm going to clean house. The files arrived by encrypted email 2 days later. Thomas read them on a library computer, his hands still bandaged. Derek Morrison, security guard. 12 complaints in 8 months. Excessive force, discriminatory behavior, verbal abuse. Never disciplined. Rachel Voss, ER admissions clerk. 27 complaints. Turned away uninsured patients. Rude behavior, discriminatory language, never reprimanded. Dr. Philip Chen, ER attending. 31 complaints. Misdiagnosis, failure to properly examine patients. 1 wrongful death lawsuit settled quietly out of court. Still employed. Thomas closed his eyes. Rebecca had seen Dr. Chen all 3 times. He went back to St. Catherine's one final time. Not through the ER. Through the executive entrance on the west side. The private elevator that went directly to the boardroom on the 10th floor. He still looked like a homeless man. Still smelled like the street. But when he pressed his thumb to the biometric scanner, it recognized him instantly. The elevator opened. He stepped inside, and as the doors closed, Thomas Harrington, beggar ghost, broken father, began to disappear. What emerged on the 10th floor was someone else entirely. The board meeting was already in progress. 8 people around a mahogany table. The hospital CEO, Margaret Frost, sat at the head. The door opened. Everyone stopped talking. Margaret's face went white. Thomas? He walked to the empty chair at the far end of the table, sat down. Silence. You're alive, Margaret said carefully. Disappointed? Thomas's voice was quiet, dangerous. Of course not. We've been worried sick. You disappeared. We thought. You thought I died and left you alone to run my hospital into the ground. Margaret flinched. Thomas pulled a folder from inside his jacket, set it on the table. Derek Morrison, Rachel Voss, Dr. Philip Chen. He slid the folder toward her. You want to explain why they're still employed? Margaret glanced at the folder but didn't open it. Thomas, I don't know what... I've spent the last 6 months on the streets, he said. I've been thrown out of this hospital 4 times, denied medical care, photographed and banned like a criminal. His voice cracked. I wanted to see how my daughter was treated before she died. Now I know. One of the board members, an older man named Harrison, cleared his throat. With all due respect, Mr. Harrington, your grief is understandable, but individual incidents? This isn't individual. Thomas opened the folder. 38 formal complaints against ER staff in the last year alone. Dismissed, ignored, buried. He looked at Margaret. You want to tell me why? She straightened. Because we're understaffed, overworked. We can't fire everyone who gets a complaint from poor people, Thomas finished. From uninsured patients. From people like my daughter. Margaret's composure cracked. That's not fair. Fair? Thomas stood. You're right. Let me be fair. He pulled out his phone, made a call on speaker. Eleanor, it's Thomas. I need you to draft termination letters for the individuals I sent you. Effective immediately. Understood, Mr. Harrington. He hung up. Margaret shot to her feet. You can't just... I can. Thomas's voice was ice. This is my hospital, built with my money, bound by my charter. And you violated that charter in every way that matters? Harrison leaned forward. Thomas, be reasonable. If you start firing staff, I'm also firing you, Thomas said. All of you. The entire board. Effective end of business today. Chaos. Shouting. Threats of lawsuits. Thomas let it wash over him. Then he turned and walked to the door. One more thing, he said without looking back. Rebecca Harrington's death is being independently investigated. If I find evidence of malpractice or negligence, I'm reopening the case. And this time there won't be a quiet settlement. The door closed behind him. The transformation took 3 months. Derek Morrison was fired within 24 hours. So was Rachel Voss. Dr. Chen was suspended, pending investigation. A new board was assembled. Leaders from community health organizations, former patients, people who understood what it meant to be powerless. The hospital's mission was reinforced. Treat everyone with dignity regardless of ability to pay. A patient advocate program was launched. Training on implicit bias became mandatory. And in the lobby, where Thomas had been thrown out, a new plaque was installed. In memory of Rebecca Harrington, may we always see the humanity in those who suffer. 6 months later, Thomas stood in the same spot where Derek had grabbed him. But this time, he wasn't alone. Rita was beside him. She wore clean clothes, donated by the hospital's new outreach program. Her teeth had been fixed by the dental clinic Thomas had funded. She had an apartment now, small but safe. You sure about this? She asked. Thomas nodded. Together they walked to the ER. The new clerk, a young man named David, looked up and smiled. How can I help you? Rita hesitated. I have this cough. It won't go away. Let's get you checked out, David said warmly. Insurance? No, that's okay. We'll take care of you. Rita's eyes filled with tears. Thomas put a gentle hand on her shoulder. She was seen by a doctor within 20 minutes, diagnosed with early-stage pneumonia. Treated immediately, given medication and a follow-up appointment. No charge, no judgment, no cruelty. Thomas stood in the parking lot as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. His phone buzzed. A text from his attorney. Investigation complete. Dr. Chen's medical license suspended. Settlement offer for Rebecca's case, $4.7 million. Thomas stared at the message. The money meant nothing. Rebecca was still gone. But maybe her death had saved someone else. Someone like Rita. Someone like the teenager he'd seen in the ER. Finally getting treatment for an infection that had been ignored for weeks. Someone like the mother with her daughter, who'd smiled at him today instead of pulling her child away. He typed a response. Donate the settlement to the patient advocate program in Rebecca's name. He hit send. And then he did something he hadn't done in 9 months. He smiled. If this story hit you in the chest, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Thomas's position, because stories like this matter. Power isn't about what you have, it's about what you do with it. More hidden billionaire stories coming soon. Don't miss them. Thomas walked back inside St. Catherine's one last time, not as a beggar, not as a billionaire, just as a father who'd lost everything and found something worth saving. He took the elevator to the 4th floor, room 447. The door was open, empty now. He stood in the doorway, remembering Rebecca's last smile, her last words. "I love you, Dad," he whispered into the silence. "I love you too, sweetheart." And then he turned and walked away. The hospital hummed around him, doctors rushing, machines beeping, lives being saved. It wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was better. And sometimes, better was all you could ask for. The elevator doors opened. Thomas stepped inside, and as they closed, he didn't see a beggar in the reflection. He saw a man who'd been broken by grief and rebuilt by purpose. A man who'd learned that real power wasn't about being recognized. It was about making sure everyone else was seen. The elevator descended, and Thomas Harrington, the beggar who owned the hospital, went back into the world, not to hide, but to heal. The end.